Good afternoon, I'm Sean Yao and this is One News Now. Officials of former President Rodrigo Duterte are reacting to the International Criminal Court's ruling to restart the investigation into the Philippine drug war. Lawyer to Duterte and former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said his client is not bothered at all by the decision. He also reiterates that the ex-chief executive will not face any foreign court.
Because the president has maintained that he will never face a foreign court for crimes that allegedly took place in the Philippines. No, the Philippines is a sovereign and independent state, and because of it, the local courts that should exercise jurisdiction over these crimes.
Would you know whether or not former President Duterte actually knows of this recent decision of the ICC? He is, of course, one of the targets of this investigation.
I'm sure he couldn't be bothered.
For his part, Duterte's former chief legal counsel, attorney Sal Panelo, maintained that the ICC has no jurisdiction over the Philippines. Panelo also called on the government to stop giving the ICC attention and to just ignore the Rome Statute.
It's a foregone conclusion. Matagal na nilang gustong pumasok kahit wala silang jurisdiction. Pangalawa, hindi naman totoo yung sinasabi nila itutuloy ang investigation. They never investigated in the first place. Wala naman talagang pagbabago eh. Eh talaga namang walang jurisdiction eh. Kaya nga pati si Presidente Marcos Jr. yun ang sinasabi. Kaya ang problema, yung soldier natin, meron ng instruction ng Presidente eh. Hindi niya naman sinunod.
Meanwhile, the top cop under Duterte's regime, now Senator Bato de la Rosa, is not worried about being arrested. As a co-target of the ICC probe, de la Rosa says he will only honor any arrest if Filipino authorities are the ones who order it. He also accused the ICC of politicking over the supposed mention of Vice President Sara Duterte's name in the probe documents.
Malaking gulo kung mag-insist sila pumasok dito at umaayaw yung ating gobyerno. Sobrang panghihimasok na yan. Sige lang, kung meron silang warrant of arrest, let them serve the warrant. Let them implement the warrant. And kung ma-implement yan, then uhulihin ako ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Wala problema. Nagtataka ako ngayon ng naging Vice President na si Inday Sara at pwedeng magiging Presidente ng Pilipinas magiging next President ng Pilipinas, bakit dinadawit na nila ngayon? Parang halata talaga na pamulitika. Gusto lang ubusin yung angkan ng Duterte. Kahit na yung anak na walang kinalaman, idadamay nila sa war on drugs.
And here are more reactions to the ICC's decision to go ahead with its inquiry into the Philippine drug war. In a statement, Senator Risa Ontiveros noted that the rejection is a step closer to justice for the victims of the drug war. She also hopes that the Marcos administration will cooperate with the ICC investigation. And for her part, renowned forensic pathologist Dr. Raquel Fortun hopes that the decision will embolden grieving families of supposed victims of extrajudicial killings and abuses to fight back. Meantime, victims' families could not help but get emotional over the decision.
Hindi ko kasi talaga maipaliwanag yung nararamdaman ko na nalulungkot ako na natutuwa ako kasi bakit kailangan humantong sa ganito na sa ibang bansa pa kami hihingi ng kakampi para lamang mapakinggan kami.
Naiiyak po ako at nagagalit kasi sa mga ginawa ng presidente natin na mga pagpatay. Dapat minamahal niya yung mga nasasakupan niyang mga sa Pilipinas, sa kanyang mga anak. Pero anong ginawa niya? Pinapapatay niya to. Kawawa naman po kami. Lalo na yung anak ko naging isang collateral damage. Hindi po ako natakot na manawagan na magpatuloy hanggang ngayon. Kaya eto, nanalaman ko po at napanood ko ang ng ICC. Naiiyak po ako kasi mabibigyan na po ng hustisya.
Moving on to other news, the Philippines now has a sovereign wealth fund. President Marcos signed the controversial Maharlika bill into law on Tuesday, despite staunch criticism from lawmakers and economists. The Maharlika Fund is the first of its kind in the Philippines. Its goal is to park state funds into all sorts of investment instruments to help bankroll priority programs. The final copy states that the initial capital of 75 billion pesos will be coming from the Land Bank and the Development Bank of the Philippines. The Bangko Sentral dividends will also be used in the first 2 years of the fund. A briefer handed out to Palace reporters stated that Finance Secretary Ben Diokno will be sitting as chairperson of the MIF board. This runs counter to assurances made by Marcos Jr. previously that the fund will be run by financial experts. The president went on to clarify that Secretary Diokno will be serving as part of the board, but he will not have a direct hand in managing the fund. Meanwhile, former BSP Deputy Governor Diwa Ginigundo noted one glaring problem with the Maharlika Fund.
So whatever is taken should have to be compensated, covered by additional funds. And since we don't have funds, in fact, we are running a big deficit of about 6.1% this year relative to GDP. Then we might have to borrow or impose higher taxes just to cover it.
Yes.
But that's my problem. We want to invest, but we have no surplus funds or windfall profits to start with.
We are pausing for a quick break, but One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Let's check in on the weather. The low-pressure area near Mindanao is expected to intensify into a tropical cyclone within the day or by tomorrow. Once this LPA develops into a tropical cyclone, it will be named Egay. There are no direct effects yet from the weather disturbance, but its trough and the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ, will be bringing scattered rains in some areas. These are Eastern Visayas, the Caraga region, Bohol, Camiguin, Misamis Oriental, Davao de Oro, and Davao Oriental. Metro Manila and the rest of the country can expect generally fair weather with chances of rain this afternoon due to the effect of both the ITCZ and localized thunderstorms. And amid the inclement weather, the water level of Angat Dam is slowly going up. This morning, reserves were at 180.94 meters, still above the minimum operating level of the dam that supplies water to most of Metro Manila. Moving on now to another story. Preparations are underway for a new Ayuda or aid program for all PUV or public utility drivers. But only members of cooperatives will be eligible. The Transportation Department has allocated 2.5 billion pesos for the fuel subsidy program for all PUVs, including tricycle drivers. The LTFRB will be releasing a policy that only drivers with modern jeepneys will be given fuel subsidies. This is in line with the government's December 31 deadline for PUV drivers to consolidate through cooperatives.
Pag hindi ka naman nag-consolidate by December 31, hindi ka na rin mabibigyan ng iyong prangkisa. Di ba? So, bakit pa namin kayo bibigyan ng fuel subsidy kung wala ka na rin prangkisa? Saan mo gagamitin yung fuel subsidy na yan?
And here is a quick look at today's other top stories. Beginning next month, the MMDA will start apprehending riders who park under footbridges and flyovers during rainy days. The MMDA has complained that riders converging under bridges for hours on end causes traffic. Nevertheless, the MMDA will allow brief stopovers, but only for motorcycle riders who need a few minutes to don their raincoats. Violators will be fined 500 pesos. The Health Department is reminding the public to take extra precaution in consuming canned goods with questionable quality. The Health Department particularly addressed queries on whether canned goods can still be eaten past its expiry date. The DOH reiterated that it is better to err on the side of caution and advised consumers, yet again, to always check the expiry dates of packaged food products. Union workers of PhilHealth called out their management over a proposal to transfer the insurer under the Office of the President. PhilHealth employees said they were not informed about the matter. And while the Justice Department says that there are no legal issues regarding this transfer, medical practitioners have rejected the idea, fearing that such an act would just politicize PhilHealth. One News Now will be back at 3:15 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.